Hey everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Success Builders. So I've got with us today Andrew Poletto. How you doing, Andrew?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
Absolute pleasure. So where are you calling in from?
I am calling in from a little town of Clinton, Indiana, in the United States.
Oh, that's fantastic. As I mentioned to you earlier before the call, I'm in the future. I'm in New Zealand.
Yeah, we're a half a world apart. I don't know if
Exactly.
I could start digging in my backyard if I'll show up in your backyard or not. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, maybe. I'll get some whiskey ready for you this time.
Fantastic. Yeah. You have to tell people where they came from, that the whiskey thing. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll tell them where it came from.
Exactly.
I have even though my background it shows top fitness strategies, which is what my passion is. I'm in the health and fitness business.
Well, there's a
I
keg
have
the
a
other side.
small, yeah, the keg's on the other side, right? I have a small live stream that I do just for fun. I call it popcorn and whiskey. So little bit behind the bat cave here. Me and Ricardo, we were talking before we went live that I do that. That's why he mentioned the whiskey thing on there. So if we want to talk whiskey, we can do that. Brandy, wine, what have you. As long as alcoholic beverages, I'm happy with it if we drink it.
Oh, that's cool. So, I understand that you have two different podcasts. You have one about the whiskey and popcorn, and well, the popcorn
Hmm.
and whiskey, sorry, and then you have a
Hmm.
fitness one. So,
Yes.
yeah, I'm happy to learn about how you got into the podcasting business, and a bit about your journey and sort of life story that led to that point,
Okay.
that pivotal moment where you decided, hey, I'm going to be a podcaster. And then tell us a bit about both of your shows. We'd be very happy to hear about it.
Well, she was, that's a loaded question. A long time ago, back when I was a little kid, I'm an old man now. No, back when I was in high
I don't look
school,
that old.
I was on the high school radio station that we had. It's a basically broadcasting through the PA system at our high school. And I loved doing it. I didn't know what I was doing. No one did when you're in high school. Went on to college and I was on a campus radio station and I studied broadcasting in college as well. Absolutely loved it. But then I got out of college and I in the real world and things of that sort. And the whole broadcasting thing just went away from me, even though I was always in my background doing it. And then I'm so old. This was before laptops even were a thing. Laptops started coming into play, computers, and with the laptops, they had the cameras with them, and also they had microphones. So in the late 2000s, early 2010s, however you want to phrase it, something like that, I started doing podcasts before podcasts were actually podcasts, where I was interviewing folks, and I had a little makeshift website. I was interviewing folks on that, and I called it the interview series, something like what you have with your
Yeah,
interview series. Mine was the original though. I actually had a
of
domain name
course.
called the Interview Series, but I
That's so
let that
cool.
lapse. So you can go pick that up if you want to. And from that, from all the interviews I was doing, and I was just interviewing. My criteria was be in business, be an online business. That was my criteria, and we started talking at that point. I butchered everything. I couldn't pronounce words. I had a horrible microphone. I was using something at the time called, what was it called? Free conference call. And I think it's still
Okay.
available. Some people may still use it. It's out there. The audio quality, yes, it says it does sound like you're on a telephone. At the time,
Hmm.
it was the best quality you can have. Now it's not. I mean,
Yeah,
of course, we have these fancy dancy microphones in front of us now. So that's what
exactly.
most people use,
I
and they're really
actually
cheap. Go
still,
ahead.
I still remember the days of this app called TeamSpeak. Have you ever heard of TeamSpeak?
TeamSpeak? I've never heard of that one.
No, okay. That's also like an old school one and then got surpassed by the newer stuff, yeah.
There was one. What was that online? It's online radio. I had several friends who was on. I can't think of the name of it right off the top of my head. She was. That's how a lot of my friends got started. Who was doing it also. Most of them aren't around doing it anymore. It'll come to me before
Yeah,
this
sure.
episode is ever. I'm sure it will. But no, from that, I realized I was more and more talking to the folks in the fitness world because I related to it. I'm an old musclehead from the gym, and yes, I can say that. Believe me, I was a musclehead. I was the dude in that would rather pick up a weight than talk to a girl back then. All right, one of those kind of things. I had muscles where muscles shouldn't be on a human body. It was like that. But since then, I got what they call a furniture disease, where your chest goes down to your drawers. So yeah, I just don't keep up with it as much. But I started the website and I became a trainer, personal trainer. And the Top Fitness Strategies website is now all about the fitness over 50. Look better, feel better, gain some confidence. I tell folks all the time, if you want to show off your body on stage somewhere, which is a fantastic goal to have, I'm probably not the guy you want to talk to because that's not how I train. I just wanted to talk to the folks who want to better themselves health and fitness wise. And from that, with my little podcast that I do, I started interviewing folks as well in the health and fitness industry. Hence, the Top Fitness Strategies was born. That's how Top Fitness Strategies came about. That's where it is now. And long story short, you and I met through different podcasting groups online, and here we are.
That's fantastic. So, tell me, what have been some of the highlights through your journey as a podcaster?
Some of my highlight. That's a great question. I've never had that question asked of me before. Usually, I'm the one asking the questions. I've never had that asked of me before. I would say, and I don't know if this is more selfish than not, but the books you see behind me,
Yeah.
these are all folks who I've interviewed who have published books,
Oh, cool.
and I'm going to assume because they like me, and maybe they said it to all the people. I don't know. But when we're done with the podcast, they always say, "I would like to send you my book. Can I send you my book?" So fantastic.
That's
So
so good.
one of these books back here, right here, probably the highlight. Going back to the highlight, and I'm not going to mention any names, but she is an accomplished bodybuilder. She's an older folk person now. She's written a fantastic book out there. She has a huge, massive following. Again, I'm not going to. I have not given. She didn't give her permission to use her name, so I'm not going to. I hope you understand. It's not
No,
fair
no,
for me to
100%.
just
No, no, sure,
plug
sure.
people's name without that. But the highlight for myself has been meeting people who are big names in the health and fitness industry. So that's a highlight for me, and I find it um, nice that, and I don't take advantage of this whatsoever, but I can reach out to these folks. We are good Facebook friends. And several folks have told me from around the globe, matter of fact, if you ever come over to my country, ever come over to my state, for the United States, if you ever come over where I'm at, you make sure you contact me. We'll have dinner. You come over to my house, blah, 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 what have you. So some of the highlights have been the success of the folks who I've talked to and just to develop a friendship that way, I guess.
That's
That would
amazing.
be a good success for me. Yeah.
I totally echo that. I mean, the bonds you actually create with the people that you interview, because it's actually quite intimate. I mean, you're
Hmm.
there for 20 to 40 minutes learning about somebody's life and actively listening. And
Hmm.
that's a powerful thing. A lot of the times we like to talk, everyone likes to talk
Yes.
about themselves, but how many times do they actually sit and find out about someone else's life? And being a host, you're forced to do that. So that's really amazing.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Now, tell us about some of the challenges you've had.
Some of the challenges. Well, we could speak for days on this one. And I will
That's
say
brilliant.
this right up, I'll say this right up front. If you're watching this or listening to this, whatever platform you're watching and or listening to this on, if you plan on being a guest on somebody's podcast, on somebody's live stream, what have you, have a good microphone. And please don't think that the microphone on your laptop is good enough because I'm telling you, it's not. The main thing about a podcast or a live stream is not so much the visual, especially with a podcast, there is no visual, but a live stream is not so much the visual, it's the audio. Think about it when you're in your car listening to the radio. If the radio station starts having static or it's not very good audio quality, do you keep listening to the radio station? No, you change the radio station. Same thing
Exactly.
with the podcast. If the audio is not good quality, you're not going to continue to listen to it. Irregardless isn't even a word. Regardless of the content, if the audio quality is horrific, you're not going to continue to listen to it. So please do yourself a favor, especially if you promote your business. Have a decent microphone. That's the number one key. Once you have that it's going to change the way you perceive everything. I will promise you that. So a challenge I've had is that the people who want to promote themselves have horrible audio quality, and there's nothing I can do on my end to fix it. So that's one of the challenges. Another challenge is time zones. as you and I know, we're on opposite ends of the world, and so we are what 18 hours difference or something like that. I mean, here it is. Yeah, well, 18 hours difference, I think,
Something
between
like
you
that.
and
Yeah,
I.
yeah, exactly.
So you have to keep that in consideration. So just because you book somebody for a podcast at a certain time does not mean that they understand the time you're in. Always, always, always confirm your time zone, and don't rely on the if you use an online scheduling service, don't rely on that. Once you communicate with somebody, because the first methods of communication with somebody is usually through a messenger, through an email, through something, a WhatsApp, a text, whatever. Always, 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 always tell them the time zone you're in. And if they don't understand, for instance, I think you are in, is it UTC? Is that what is your time zone,
I'm in
Ricardo?
NZST.
Okay, see, I would have no clue what that means.
Yeah.
And I had this like a couple of weeks ago when I interviewed somebody. I asked them what time zone they were in, and they just gave me three letters. I had no clue what that was. And like an idiot, I didn't think to look it up, but I didn't. So I said, well, maybe he didn't understand my question. So I asked him again. And so he told me, and he was in somewhere in Africa. I forget where, but somewhere in Africa at the time. So
Hmm.
I always tell folks, I'm in Eastern Time Zone, United States, the same as New York City. I don't live near New York City, but I have the same time zone as New York City. So it's easy for people to say, "Oh yeah, New York City." I understand they're 1 o'clock right now. Their time zone. People understand from bigger cities where the time zones are. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense.
So
Um,
that's a good challenge or to overcome that challenge right away. Yeah.
yeah, it is. I mean, I often see that, and probably for me as uh, a Gen X, like, and a little bit technology savvy because I've been in the IT industry. Like,
Mm-hmm.
one of my frustrations is when I'm personally invited to an interview and I'm being asked what time is good for me and given a block of times to choose from and also things like that, rather than just a calendar link that does it automatically for me. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, for my guests, I do it very simple. I create a Calendly link. There's a few other types of apps out there other than Calendly as well, but I use Calendly. And then you can just put in um, um, the times that you're available as the host, and then the guest chooses, and it populates both calendars. And the key then is to ask the guest if they are still going to be online an hour from now or 2 hours from now,
Mm-hmm.
however much notice you want
Mm-hmm.
to give them. And
The
that works quite nicely.
The
Um,
issue with that is, and I found this out with you yesterday because I don't use
okay.
Calendly. I use a
Okay.
handwritten calendar when I schedule
Oh, okay.
something.
I see.
Is I went to your calendar, yeah, and it was fine. It was in my time zone when I went there, no problem. It was fantastic. But then when it populated to my Google Calendar, which I never use, it populated to that. How it what did that? I don't know, but it did. I'm like, oh, this is cool. So I'm looking and it says because for those who want to know, right now, my time, I'm on the day of the week is Wednesday. The calendar said it's Thursday. I'm like, wait a second, I scheduled it for Wednesday. So then I had to dig into the calendar itself to find out, okay, how come when I scheduled it on Wednesday, it says it's on Thursday? So I had to figure out what was going on. My lack of technology skills with Google calendars, that's where it comes from. So don't think just because Calendly says it's okay, the other person
Yeah,
knows what it means because I
exactly.
was totally confused.
Yeah, it's a good thing to always double check. Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
you were even telling me earlier about some checklists, like pre-flight checklists and things like that to give to the guests. It's a really good idea.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. And your popcorn and whiskey. Now tell me a bit about that. Now, um, you know, what does popcorn have to do with whiskey exactly?
Okay, it has absolutely nothing to do with pop with whiskey. All right, all right. So, what in the middle of doing all the fitness podcasts that I do, again, Top Fitness Strategies, topfitnessstrategies.com. Check it out. My shameless plug there. You can find me on YouTube as well. Um, when Facebook started up with their live stream several years ago, I'm not a Facebook techie. I don't know much about it. I just popped on one night and I said, "Hey, what is this live thing about?" And I clicked on it. It was a program called B.Live, I think, or Live.B or something like that. And just by chance, I stumbled onto this website one night and I said, well, this is a live streaming, something that I like doing because I'm in front of a microphone. I had a little webcam at the time, some little cheapo webcam. I said, I can do this. And so through that, I was able to stream to Facebook. I said, okay. So on a Saturday night, in where I live in January and February, it gets extremely cold where I live. And so I don't go out on Friday and Saturday nights. I'm usually sitting at home doing nothing, usually drinking an adult beverage here or there. So I decided I'd go online one night and see if I could figure out this thing. As I was doing it, I was sipping on my whiskey. And I had people commenting and say, "Hey, we see you live, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Oh, this is cool." So I started doing it on a regular basis. Well, one night, along with my whiskey, I had some microwave popcorn. So I was hungry. I just popped it. Had one that has nothing to do with the other. So as a joke, I said, you know what? I should start calling this still a little live stream. Start calling it popcorn and whiskey. Well, didn't really give it much thought. The next couple of weeks, I still went on, and I just talk about anything. Didn't at the time you couldn't have any guests, just me and whoever was commenting. So I think people were listening and watching because I had comments. From that, weather started getting warmer. Me being a single guy at the time, I'm still single. Just throwing it out there. I started going back out on Friday and Saturday night, so I got away from it. Well, it got colder the next year again, so I went back online, and I said, oh, popcorn and whiskey is back on live. So little by little, it came about, popcorn and whiskey, and I actually got a neon sign I put back here instead of this sign. It's called popcorn and whiskey. So that's basically how it came about. One has nothing to do with the other. It's just me getting online and chit chatting about anything I want to chit chat about.
That's
That's what
so
it's all
good.
about.
It's like a
Yeah.
freestyle podcast,
Freestyle. Yes, that's right. That's right. People
but
say, well,
not
how can you talk
interview.
for an hour? I can talk for 2 hours, no problem. I've done it before. It's not a problem. Yeah.
Um, that's for me is actually I find that hard. I prefer the interview series because
Hmm.
I'm not sure if I have enough stuff to talk about for 2 hours unless I get really technical into software related matters and no one wants to listen to that. So yeah, I mean I quite like the interview series because as a podcast host, it takes a lot of pressure off to,
Hmm.
think about, like overthink what you're going to say. Am I delivering value? Am I saying things that the audience want to listen to, especially if
Hmm.
someone who's doing a serious topic. And so the interview series for me is personally easier because all I have to do is show interest in the guest
Hmm.
and get an
Absolutely.
interesting guest on like yourself, and I'm set, right?
I think you got a little bit of an advantage with me because I sit usually in your seat, so I know what a if you have somebody on the other end who doesn't talk, you have to fill that time. And I've had people before who I thought were subject matter experts. This is before the fitness stuff,
Yeah,
and it was actually a technical guy, and he didn't know anything, and I had to jump in what little I knew and pretend like I was helping him out, and it's supposed to go for a half hour. I think in 15 minutes I cut it off. I said, "Well, guys, gosh darn, I think we covered all we can cover today. Goodbye." One of those kind of things. It was horrific. I don't even know if I still have a copy of that or not at this point. I had one person, a friend of mine, who actually listened to the podcast, and she called me, not on the line, and she physically called me and said, "What was that? That was one of the worst things I've ever heard." I said, "That's going away. That's no one's ever going to hear that again." It was horrific. It was terrible. So
oh, that's
if
so
you're going to be a
funny.
guest, make sure you have something good to say. Even if you make it up, have something good to say.
No pressure, eh? Don't worry, our shows are all pre-recorded, so it's very relaxed, and you know, we can always either bin it or adjust it, edit it, and things like that. So don't worry,
Hmm.
it's not such a a crazy experience.
Right,
Um,
right, right.
yeah. So um, now, what we'll do is we will be sharing all of your links. We will put them into the description below.
Okay, okay.
So we'll get your podcast links if you have your website. And thinking whether I should mention that you're single or not and include that in the
I already
description.
did.
No,
I
I mean
already
for
said that a couple of times there. What the heck?
yeah. So like I'm gonna put it into the description and maybe like link your profile for your Tinder app or something. Maybe.
Okay, let's make sure we put a disclaimer on here. At the time of this recording, I am single.
Yes, at the time of this recording.
At the
Yeah.
time of this recording, I am single. So if somebody watches this 5 years from now, Hopefully, I won't be single at the time. Sorry for your luck, but hey, whatever.
Sorry for the loss. Yeah. Cool. Well, hopefully this podcast can be the catalyst to you finding your
There you
dream
go.
partner.
Let's hope
That'll be
so.
amazing.
Let's
That'll
hope
be
so.
so cool. Then we have to
Yeah,
change
that's
our whole
right.
strategy. We have to turn this into a matchmaking podcast.
There you go. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool. Do
This
you?
this will change back here then.
Yeah, it'll
Absolutely.
have to
And
change. Yeah.
you want to have top fitness strategies or popcorn and whiskey, man, popcorn and love or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Love and whiskey. There you go.
There we go. That sounds good. One might lead to the other. I think whiskey might
There you go.
lead to the love. I'm not sure.
I can hear
Cool.
people now saying, "Wait a second." So he's trying to pick up a chick, but he talks about fitness, but he drinks whiskey while he does it. What kind of guy is this? You're in for a ride there, baby. Absolutely.
Well, I kind of understand the different polarities there because my wife, she's a fitness nut. She's a gym rat. She loves the gym. She's got the
All
six pack,
right.
and I've got the family pack.
There you go. Absolutely. She's got the six pack, you got the keg, my friend. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. I've got
I
the
like I
family
got the
pack
family
right here.
pack. I like that.
Oh, cool. So, thanks so much for being on the show. It was amazing having you.
Thank
And
thank you for having me. Yes.
no, pleasure. Do you have any final words or a message that you would like to leave with the audience?
Yeah, we didn't talk about fitness much. Health and fitness. Again, top fitness strategies: feel better, look better, gain some confidence. I keep things as basic as I possibly can. Let's face it, not everybody's going to spend 5 hours a day at the gym. Let's face it. But if you're not going to spend that kind of time, at least the time you do spend, make sure you utilize it. And fitness and health is not all about lifting weights at the gym. There's so much more to it. Check out Top Fitness Strategies. You can go to topfitnessstrategies.com. Find me on YouTube. That's where most of the stuff is, YouTube and Rumble. And go from there. Shoot me a message. Say, hey, Andrew, I saw you on the interview series podcast live stream. Watching your stuff, appreciate it. And if there's anything else I can say out there, hey, your goal is to be a better person tomorrow than you are today. That's what I like to tell people. If you can be one step, if this is where you are, this is where you want to strive to be tomorrow. If that makes sense.
Yeah, fantastic. It does. A little bit better every day.
That's right.
Don't despise the day of small beginnings.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, and thanks again for being on the show. And to the audience out there, remember to check out the links and to always dream big and build bigger. Till next time. See you later.